Hi, folks. So, is it really the case that the times that we are living in are motivating consciousness to on massive scales? Or is elevating, is stimulating, right? Consciousness on massive scale. I mean, not worldwide for everybody, but I'm just saying for a certain selected few, or whether they self-selected or whether they've been previously selected or something like that. That's the question. But let's say for those few, right, that consciousness seems to be expanding at a massive rate, and can that also be contributed not only to the individual's efforts, okay, but also to the times that we are living in? And again, I mean, you have to look at technology being a massive contributor, let's say, to the rise of consciousness in these folk, right? There's no question about it. So it's hard to say, but energetically, whether it's by the stars, by the planets, by certain frequencies, by Schumann resonances or something or other, who knows, whether it's the transcendental object at the end of time, whether it's this that's pulling consciousness and towards itself and pulling, increasing, I would say, not just entropy but novelty and consciousness. It's a quickening in a sense that's happening, and whatever it's on a planetary level, on a cosmic level perhaps, or something or other, right? So for the individual, and so there's many factors you could kind of look into and try and see, okay, but is it the time that we are in that there's this great blossoming happening, so to speak, that it's the end of a time, of an era, and therefore consciousness is the key component that needs to be again accelerated, along with the ending of an era, if you know what I mean, if it's the final chapter, if it's the final bell, and what has to be achieved within that time, frame of the final closing, right? That I'm saying, has it been engineered into the universal plan that it will be like almost a photo finish, as Terence McKenna says, a photo finish between the conscious and the unconscious, right? Those certain factors definitely at play that are anti-consciousness or against consciousness, right? An expansion that are more of a dumbing down, more of a distraction. Is that the case, that one of the reasons that there is such a distraction going on the planet, there's so much media, there's so much civilization, so much culture going on at the moment, is it just on the one level as a means of distraction, as a means of sort of holding back a massive amount of the population from actually being able to use these times, this time of opportunity for conscious expansion, for moving closer to divinity, moving closer to source, heart expansion, right? You see, is that maybe what is going on here, in a way, that when we look at the so-called evils of the world, that one of the aspects of the evil is to really, how would I say, just distract people, to also obviously at the same time to make it a challenge for the conscious individual. It creates an adversity, right? It's also the part of the polarity of things, but part of its engineering, part of its purpose is, okay, again, to serve for the hero to come forth, right? if you will. I mean, the individual, because it creates a collective type of mentality, type of energy around the globe. And if there wasn't that collective, then there wouldn't be the opportunity for the individual to become individualized, for so to speak. And so it needs to play its part. But over and above that, it's also some kind of way that it's sort of, it's not nice to say this, but to filter out the higher states of consciousness from the lower states of consciousness, okay, and sort of again misdirect and somewhat, it sounds terrible to say, but trap within its web those beings, those people that are not necessarily meant to make the cut. Okay. So I mean, it's hard to say, obviously, and I dare try not even try and attempt to work it out, because it will be impossible. It's a mystery. All right. But what I'm saying is that I think that if there wasn't these, at the same time, such a heavy propaganda machine force that were going from culture and society's point of view, that the individual will be more individuals. There's no question about it. There will be more people riding the wave of transformation, right? Of metamorphosis. I don't know how to say, metamorphosis, in a sense. Okay, there's no question about it. And so, anyway, so who's to say? Who's to know? But it does seem like if you're not swimming, you're sinking. Okay, there's no question about it. And that's kind of what I wanted to sort of just briefly address on, is that for myself, that gives me more confidence and I would say, confidence and surety, in the sense that there is something going on here from a transformational metamorphosis point of view on the planet, right? There is something that is going on. All right, it's not just woo-woo, it's not just make-believe, it's not just business as usual. Okay, that there is some kind of metaphysical aspect, psychedelic aspect that is going on here in the times that we live in, right? The times it signifies something. There's something going on. And so for myself, one of the confirmations, I would say, is my own personal growth at the rapid process or development that it's been going on. And I know that for a certainty. I mean, I can see it in myself, I can feel it in myself. Okay, and so I feel like I am going somewhere. This is for something. That this is kind of a preparation. This is sort of a, preparation, of preparing. It's getting ready for. It's meeting the requirements of what's to come, right? And I feel that in myself. And again, it's not just fairy tales. It's not just 2012. December 21st, end of the world or something like that, from a general concept point of view. It's not something that came and went almost with very little significance. I'm saying the magnitude of what's going on, is how big it really is and how significant it really is. And so for myself, I can look at me and I can say within the last weeks, months, years, how much this transformation has happened, and not only that, but it's been consistent and it's ongoing. Okay, so again, this is something that is far removed from religious belief, I feel, or dogma, that will kind of promise you a seat in heaven or something like that, something or other that's in the future that you don't know at the moment how you're really doing. If you're being more of a sinner or a saint, you don't know, and only at the end it will kind of tell to some certain degree. And you've got no yardstick of measurement in yourself. You've got no way of actually feeling to a certain degree that consistent change in your life and betterment in your own life and expansive and awareness in your own life. I mean, you could necessarily, but religions I found aren't based on something like that. There's no sort of I would say it's kind of like you're never quite sure what you're doing. You're just trying to be on your best behavior, especially from the religion that I came from. You're just trying to not be a sinner, and just be a good boy or good girl type of thing. And for myself, that's just childish thinking. I mean, childish in the sense that it's there's many things here, but I don't know. For myself, just feeling what I'm saying is that I don't need to wait for a seat in heaven or something like that in order to know that this life is about growth, and development, and etc., and refinement and healing. Like I'm saying, it's not whatever is to come, which is inevitable. But even right now, what I'm saying is that my own transformation, my own growth is evidence that there is something going on. Okay, and that's kind of what I'm saying, if that makes sense. And so it's an exciting time, and there's a lot of change going on in the air. There's no question about it. And one of the greater changes is the inner changes, I suppose. And and allowing for those changes to happen. Okay. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean, I don't know if I can explain this correctly, but is more of a, how would I put it? Is more of a self-confidence, right? Is more of a self-confirmation, in a sense, allowing for that. Self-trust, okay? That you're on the right path. That you're not just woo-woo, right? That you're not just imagining things. You haven't lost your mind. I mean, from a spiritual, conscious point of view, that, let's say, something or other, that there is, you see, this is the strange thing, that in the modern times, in culture and society, there is no real growth. I mean, it's just generally material growth and status growth, but there isn't so much spiritual growth. And what I'm saying, a sense of self-awareness, okay, and a sense of self-trust. Like you there's more of a surrendering to your so-called higher self, if you want to call it, or more of your soul, your spirit. Like there's more of a surrendering to that there is something that's very metaphysical going on, right? There's more of an allowance for the Tao. There's more of an allowance for your own becoming, and there's more of a trust in that, right? And more of the neuroses are falling away, I would say, and more of the sort of self-criticism and self-doubt is falling away. There's more, self-confidence and self-assurance and self-strength, in a sense, and a consistency in that. Okay, and you can see that even for yourself, that thoughts that you used to entertain and used to, well, not all of them, I mean, but a lot that you used to entertain, and the way that you used to feel about yourself in a negative or non-supportive kind of way, you're realizing that that's falling away a lot of the time. You're realizing your own power and strength, okay, and your own potential, and in a consistent manner, like that it's there, right? And that you've been doing this work, and that you've been growing, okay? I don't know if I'm making sense here, but you inherently feel that, and it doesn't change. Like you only seem to be taking steps forward most of the time, maybe a few steps back, yes, but it's generally 10 steps forward, 2 steps back type of thing. As before, maybe it was 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or something like that. And you're not just treading water anymore, you're really swimming with the tides, in today's and now's time. That you've been working on yourself, that you've been going through the dark nights of the soul, that you've been doing the healing and doing the work, and doing the having the discipline and having the faith, right? That's allowed you to move into this other type of dimension, in a sense, or let's say rather experience of that you're on board, right? You've managed to climb aboard and go with whatever is going, and so you can really feel at times very accomplished in certain moments, okay? And then again, a lot more wily, a lot more clever, a lot more sharp, okay? You can see more of the deception that most people are falling under or have fallen for, right? You're less impressionable to seeking the approval of others, right? It's not so much a theme anymore, right? I mean, there's bits and pieces of it, but it's not as strong as it used to be. It's not your foundation or motivation, fundamental motivation for your life and your being. Like you've realized a lot of the time how much immature thinking that you've had, and how much immature perspective and one-dimensional perspective that you've had, right? Now your perspective is more reaching into universal and type of perception, to say the least. It's not one-dimensional. It's multi-dimensional, right? It's large. It's more encompassing. It's more balanced perception. It's more reasonable. Okay, it's more aligned with reality and truth and etc. You have a lot less more prejudices or whatever. Is a lot less fears as that you have. Like you realize that you're more able to face the music without that much anticipation or fear. I mean, there is still all of that, right? But there's more of a trust now, I would say. There's more of a trust. And again, that trust comes in because you've seen in your own life how it's unfolded in the direction that is of most necessary support and how would I say it? The way that it's been designed. I mean, the planning of life has been for your own benefit, right? For your own opportunities. All right. You've seen how you've been divinely directed. You've seen divine timing, right? You've seen the hidden hand, or you felt the hidden hand in your life that has guided you along the way. All right, and again, we're coming more to a place where we're able to accept that more, right? And not just on a sense or an assumption based level. It's more concrete. It's more like it's evidential that where you've been led and where you are now and what you have been through has been for your own personal growth, right? And what has been necessary for you on a soul level, okay? And that doesn't. Some days you're good with that, and some days you're not so good with that. I mean, believe me. I mean, I know it. It's not all bed of roses to sort of surrender to the idea that what has all fallen. It's also about healing, though. You've done more of the healing, that you've learned more of the lessons of your past and where you've come from, or whatever it is. It's easier to sort of accept that it was for the it was divinely good. Okay, it's very difficult. And again, I don't think for any human being that we should just sort of sign it off as that we can always understand whatever's happened in the past and what's happening to us and what will happen to us is for the greater good, right? I don't think it's reasonable to always have that heart space about that. I think we will be tested, and in moments where we are tested, I think we have to be reasonable with our emotions and grief and feeling of unfairness and feeling that sometimes because there are those moments where your faith is challenged, and it needs to be, but not to sort of stretch the envelope from a perspective that it's all divine and it all happens how it needs to happen, within those sort of crisis moments. But that's for another talk, which I did do, and I can't really find where I did that recording on. And so it's like, so again, it's not a random walk. You don't feel like it's a random walk anymore, okay, or less than. But then again, you do have moments. There's no question about it. And so, but again, you're touching into more higher states of consciousness, or higher spaces of consciousness, or more peak experiences. Okay, you're seeing it, the more interconnectedness in things, right, in the relationship amongst things, whether it be animals or nature, where there might be circumstances, situations, experiences, synchronicities. Okay. you can almost see sometimes the mapping of your life and how it's been mapped out and how it is mapped out now, right? And how you can see that's been, again, divinely coordinated with a sense of purpose. All right, so you see life becomes a lot more richer and much more deeper experience and a lot more personal and a lot more intimate. Okay, you're not as alone as you thought you were on this random walk. Okay, it's not random at all. And so you know that there are others that are out there like you, right? That you're not the only one. I mean, 10 years ago I thought I was the only one. And you realize that there are others out there as well. Not many, but they are there, and they're on this journey, and that also confirms it as well. That, okay, that there are others out there, and that it's not just me alone here. I mean, most of the time it is just you alone, but in a way you're not really alone. And so that's it. We're finding more of the tribe. We're finding more of the people that we perhaps are needing in our lives. Maybe they're not indirectly in our lives, but they're online, or maybe they're just people that we listen to. Maybe they're not. We don't even have a dialogue with them, but we've met them online. They don't know about us, maybe, but we follow their work, we follow their videos, their channels, their messages. Sometimes we are in contact with them. Sometimes we're building a relationship with them, And so again, this confirms once again that it's not just. Where I was back in 2006 or 7. I just thought that I was the only one, and the only one that was feeling or living or experiencing, and there was no one else like me. And also at the same time felt that there was no plan or meaning to it or at all, right? But so, and so that's the thing, is that, so for myself, I'm still dealing with, I would say, self-criticism, right? The critic. I'm aware of it, but I got more of a handle on it. I got more of a, it's not an overbearing voice in my head anymore. It's like I can catch it. I can catch more of my own, sort of, I don't know, not in alignment thinking or something or other. I can see in my wounded thinking sometimes. Okay, I can get more of a grasp on it. I'm more conscious of it and whatnot. I can see again what is more in alignment with truth in the world and what's not. Which environments are healthy for me and which environments are not healthy for me. What type of diet is healthy for me and what isn't, right? So I can tell more of that. And again, it's not just woo-woo. It's not just like I'm imagining these things. No, these things are real, right? And so many of us have got into mystical practices of all types, whether it's be tarot, possibly Reiki, astrology, psychedelics, shamanism of some sorts, Eastern practices and whatnot, and which the general masses would think, you're a little bit of a weirdo or a big weirdo, or you believe in the spirit realms or something like that. And again, and you were probably one of those people a long time ago whose spirit realms, consciousness, type of thing, tarot, astrology, numerology, Easternism or whatever it is, Taoism, philosophy. You were also probably one of those people, so a materialistic point of view, and now you're not at all. Okay? And so again, now that you are this person, and you've been practicing this for a long time, you have more confidence in yourself, right, as being the individual. Like you have more of a sense of pride in it. You feel more better equipped to be the individual, to be the hero, right? You know that you faced the music so many times, and and you've had that ability to face the music, and you will try your best to continue to face the music. At the same time that you've assisted and changed people's lives in a very positive way, right? Sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally. Okay, so there's no question about it. This growth and this development has been for the greater good and for your own betterment. I mean, there's no question about it. Like, what are the jewels, the pearls that you have discovered? What is it that you've uncovered? right? That is timeless. What is it? And I mean, lack of a better word, it's you, type of thing. It's your soul, it's your spirit, it's your divinity, right? And so that you have, a sense of great confidence in, and a great comfort in, and a great trust in. Okay? Again, the mind chatter doesn't really have much space a lot of the time. Emotions that are out of control don't have much room to play. Alright, habits, addictions to some certain degrees are more handled. There's more willpower, right, that one has achieved. There's more consistency again in just their own being, and so there's more self-awareness. You see what makes you fall down, and you see what makes you get up. You see what makes you lose touch with yourself, and you see what makes you get in contact, reconnected with yourself. And you see it now more so than ever before. Who you were, you didn't even know that there was a disconnect or a reconnect or something like it. You had no, had the foggiest idea. So this whole other dimension has opened up, right? And it's a divine dimension that you're very much a part of, okay? And so there's great comfort, again, in that. And there's a great peace in that, right? There's a great surety in that. It's like, again, for even the way that most people are lost in this world and misdirected, that you found your way. You found the light. Right? And you can have full trust in it. Again, it's not something that was taught to you in Bible class or something. It's not something somebody else told you. It's first-hand experience. It's first direct-hand experience. So yeah, folks, that's just something that I wanted to sort of share. Probably a lot more I can say on that. There was more points that I wanted to get into on my own personal changes, what I've noticed on a day-to-day basis, just on general daily chores or daily schedules, or just day-to-day kind of stuff, where I felt for myself a greater sense of presence and awareness and understanding that has coming forth in a consistency and almost, it's hard to say, but a trust, and a faith, and an appreciation, that has come forth, deep appreciation, and deep humbleness at the same time, and gratitude, for all that has been and all that is to come. Well, it's hard to say that all is to come, because who knows, but hopefully I can stand strong, stand courageous, and stay connected, in all that needs to still play out and come forth. Alright, folks, thank you for being here and listening and taking the time. I hope you are well, and we'll talk soon. Take care.